Welcome to another episode of the FitFam podcast. This is Hilary, Miss Natural Olympia.
Or Mrs. Doug, the formulator.
Okay, and we're excited again to be with you. This week is really exciting for us because it's about a subject that we get asked a lot about.
Yeah.
And that is kind of near and dear to our hearts because it's critical in order to have optimal performance, to be able to have greater longevity, to be able to, be cured or get fixed from disease and concerns, and it just really is useful for anything in life that you're wanting to improve, right?
Yeah, and it's one of those things that can make a difference very quickly. Where some things take a little bit of time to really feel the effects. This one, you can get immediate results.
Immediate results. And we're talking about cleansing the cells of your body for optimal health. So cleansing, and that has a lot to do with the things that we do with our food or nutrients we take or diets we go on or even fasting.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to hit all of those things up, and let's just kind of get rolling.
All right, let's go. So cleansing the cell for optimal health. Our bodies are divine machines, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So our liver, kidneys, digestive tract, lymphatic system, the respiratory system, and the skin all make up our detoxification pathway. They work around the clock to flush toxins.
They do, and I think that's important. You talk about divinely created, meaning that by nature, our bodies are detoxifying machines. Like that is
they're
really,
meant to do it.
They're meant to do it, and they're meant to do it because it was known that we were going to be in environments to where there's going to be toxins coming into our body. So our body needed, as you mentioned, kidneys and the liver and all of these systems, that lymphatic system and that, to be present and working to get rid of the toxins so that we can stay in homeostasis, a state of balance, that we can function, that our body can get rid of these pathogens or things that cause pathology, disease, before they happen, before the disease happens, and the body can just keep this flowing and we can stay in great health and be able to function. And so it is natural, but there's been a few things that have come up, especially over the history of the world in the last decade,
right,
that's kind of changed the ball game because naturally, if our body has all these things, then we don't need to worry about it. It's just detoxing because it's built to detox.
Yeah, it's built to detox. However, as we've progressed in humanity, as we've progressed as a society, we've created a lot of chemicals and substances and toxins that our bodies weren't meant to come into contact with, right?
Absolutely, or I guess at least as much.
As much,
and
yeah, that's good.
We're getting ready to do a big seminar for doctors that are coming from all over the world here in a few weeks. And at that seminar, one of the big things as I was preparing for it, that I was trying to come up with a word, and really it's accumulation. That we're just, we accumulate toxins at such a faster rate, in more density, and in new structures that we never have before. And I think that's the big factor.
That's it. Yeah, for sure. So we're just going to go into all of the different things that cleansing can help with, right?
Yeah, that's a great way to go about it first. Let's talk about the benefits, and then we'll come back into truly what's causing it and how to get rid of them. Great idea.
Okay, cool. So weight loss, toxins can be harmful to the cells and the tissues of the body.
I think that, that's a big thing, exactly. It's almost like a pause, like that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
Like just, like weight loss is a benefit of detoxifying, but the cause of that is this accumulation, not just of fats. Like it used to be, we eat too many calories, right? And we get too much bad fats in our diet. And going to school, right? First thing we were taught was a calorie is a calorie is a calorie.
Yeah.
And we know that's not true. We know the new research is extremely strong on this, and it was mind-blowing, right? It was the biggest change, I think, in nutrition history, that we know now that it's not just the amount of calories. You can eat the same amount of calories, but if some of those calories have a lot of toxins in them, right, chemicals in them, then you actually gain more weight on the same amount of calories. So weight loss.
Is it also because you're dealing with inflammation issues because of the toxins?
Yeah, I think it's both, because we know that you do increase body fat at a faster rate on the same amount of calories if you're eating a lot of processed foods. But I think, as you mentioned, you increase an additional weight on top of the fat gain just from inflammation. And so
Right.
weight loss is a huge, huge benefit from detoxifying that is both fat loss and inflammation loss.
Mm-hmm.
That, a lot of health professionals believe that inflammation is the number one cause of disease. And so we monitor that close. So weight loss, one. What's another one?
So increased energy. When the cells are clean, you get better absorption of nutrients, and I think that's pretty evident to most people. Like when you're eating cleaner, you feel like you are just moving better, and you have more ease and clarity of mind and that kind of thing. So.
Absolutely, and I think even down to the cell level, that if we cleanse the cells, like truly get in there and do a cleanse of the cells, then the ability for just the nutrients to come in and out do improve, like you say, but also the chemical reactions that produce energy, things in the body like NADH, the nutrients being able to convert it to something called ATP, adenosine triphosphate, the actual energy source in the body, right? All that happens quicker and more efficiently with a clean cell. So I think that energy thing comes from so many reasons, but absolutely.
So how about joint pain relief?
Ooh, that's a huge one.
Yeah.
And I think joint pain relief comes from multiple scenarios too.
For sure.
Like you'd mentioned, inflammation. So just reducing inflammation, a lot of joint pain comes from inflammation.
Yeah.
Right, in the body.
Right.
But there's another little factor with that is we have this fluid in the body. It's the oil for our joints that we'd always talk about and stuff.
Synovial fluid?
Synovial fluid. And what synovial fluid is? The body's, oil can, if you would. And so synovial fluid, it doesn't get secreted at the rate it needs to unless the pathways are clean. So there's cleansing there. Also, it's a matter of a fatty acid constituent that synovial fluid is made of. And so if we just have bad fats in our diet, we have a lot of toxins there, the body can't make the right type of synovial fluid, the right type of oil if it would for the joints. And so joint pain relief from cleansing is this thing that we hear from a lot of clients and our doctors' patients saying, oh my gosh, I've never had so much relief from all my joint pain and that, when really all they're doing is cleansing out the debris and getting rid of the inflammation and helping with synovial fluid.
Cool. So what about improved digestion? This one I love. I love the thought of cleansing, being able to free up the body's enzymes to do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
I love that.
Absolutely. And we're actually just finishing a book talking about that there's 3 types of enzymes. Your metabolic enzymes that basically make every reaction in the body happen, from breathing, thinking, heartbeat, everything else. Then the digestive enzymes in your body that your body uses to digest food if you don't get enough of the 3rd type of enzyme, which is plant enzymes. And I think that what you're talking about is really cool, because if we are abusing our foods and our body's having to overwork with digestion, then it's taken away from the metabolic enzymes in our body, and it causes a lot of disease and problems. And, we all get really tired after we eat, all those things. All that improves dramatically. Digestion improves. And we talk about enzymes, but one more thing on that is there's 2 other factors with digestion that we don't talk about a lot. One of your favorites, flora. And the importance of probiotics in the body, but also white blood cells. There is a famous study done by a guy named Dr. Paul Kochikoff, and he did a study on digestive leukocytosis, which basically, it's a big word, but think about it. Digestive leukocytosis, leukocytes are white blood cells. Basically, your white blood cells increase when you don't digest your food properly. And so when you're doing these cleanses and keeping the cells clean, your white blood cells don't have to be produced as much to help digest your food. And it takes a lot of energy to produce white blood cells. And so that's the reason we're tired a lot when we're sick, is mainly because your body's trying to make all these white blood cells. So that's a great benefit. What's some more? What's more? More benefit.
Someone help me. Boosted immunity. So ridding the body of burdensome toxins helps strengthen the immune system. Obviously, I think this one's fairly obvious. But so you're better off fighting bacteria and viruses before they turn into colds and flus and all that fun stuff.
Absolutely. And it kind of goes back to what we just said. Look, your immune system can be used for a number of things. And if it's having to be used to constantly keep the body detoxified of crap food, and stuff in our lifestyle, then it's not going to be there to build our immune system. In fact, back to that study of Dr. Kochikov, they showed that, let's say that right now someone came and sneezed and coughed on us, but Hilary had taken enzymes with her food, or it's been a while since she ate, so her body's not having to do all this work and digest the food. The white blood cells are, ready. Well, that same virus and bacteria wouldn't make her sick. But if I just ate some junk food, I had a soda and a hamburger and fries, my immune system actually is trying to help digest that food, and so I can get sick from that
That
same
concept is so huge to me. I love that concept.
And that's like we talk about with kids in school. Like, how can one kid sick and not they all get sick?
Yeah.
What's their immune system up to at the time? And keeping a
so it's not. I mean, that's just such a great point. It's not just about your overall immune system, which it is, but it's also about currently, right now, what is your immune system doing? Is it ready to fight off virus and bacteria, or is it having to work overtime to digest your food?
What you doing for me now
Love
situation, right? Like, what's going on right now?
Okay, this next one I love so much, because as somebody that has always had really big sugar cravings, food is usually my kryptonite, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It just, the first time that I did a serious fast was the first time that I really recognized the difference in my cravings. So when you fast, all of a sudden you get reduced cravings.
That is huge, and the research on it is just phenomenal with it. And you have personal experience, which is even better with it. But the reduced cravings, how it happens is that one of the ways is that in your body you have these different chemicals and hormones that when you eat, they are secreted to say, hey, that's enough food to keep you alive and everything is needed. You don't need more than that. And one of the chemicals is called ghrelin. And you get this secreted and you're like, okay, well, I don't need more. And you just have that feeling that you're satisfied, right? And these chemicals...
Too often we override the ghrelin.
That's it, through the chemicals, right? Yeah. And what's happening is, so like Hilary's saying, if we processed foods that have these chemicals purposely put in them for that reason, right? Think if your goal is to sell a junk food and that's your main goal and it's your business, then you're going to put whatever you can in that food to make it so that you crave it more.
Yeah,
right?
Makes sense.
And so these chemicals are there and they override the ghrelin in that, and so we crave more and more and more of them. And if we don't have them, we're like, oh, we need more of it. And that is a huge problem in the world today, that it's not always your fault. It's a lot of times the chemicals in your body. And so if you cleanse the chemicals out, then all of a sudden it's easier to be able to stick to your goals.
It is. How about stabilized mood? That's a good one.
Yeah, I mean,
does that go back to flora?
It goes back to flora, because we know the importance of flora and the chemicals it creates, right?
Yeah.
And so...
honestly, too, I think there's been many times in our lives when I'm feeling a little wonky or a little hormonal. Careful.
Really?
Careful.
Yeah.
Douglas. Anyways, and I can relate it directly to how great my probiotic distribution is. Like, am I staying on top of my probiotics, and am I eating fermented foods?
You're so good
and
at that
am
lately.
I taking my I'm better, not great, but and am I taking my probiotic, my flora? So that one's big with mood.
90% of serotonin's produced by the flora, 50% of your dopamine, your happy chemicals, your joy chemicals, all of those things. Your mood is really greatly based on...
So dependent on your gut.
On your gut.
So dependent on your gut.
I'd say two main things, your gut and exercise, which isn't really today, but that's a big one too.
Oh, for me, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's times when I'll text Hilary and say, go work out right now, or go get on the treadmill. And really what I'm trying to say is I'd be a little bit, hormonal, and knowing though that if she's eating right, has a flora and that's present, you still need that stimulation, and the exercise can stimulate those chemicals to do it. So
for sure.
Yeah.
This one's pretty evident, or pretty easy to understand. Clear skin when you are cleansing and you get rid of all the chemicals.
Yeah, that's true. And I think that to simplify it, A lot of people don't realize what the largest organ in the entire body is.
Yeah, your skin.
Your skin.
Yeah.
And so the skin is the largest organ. And so we have 3 ways to eliminate toxins, right? One is normal, out the bowel. The other is bleh. Right,
was that puking?
That was puking. That's my puking. Blah, like that.
Really gross.
Ralph.
Stop.
Cheech and Chong. Okay, anyways. And
Nobody
then
even knows Cheech and Chong.
Let us know. You all know who Cheech and Chong is. If you don't, go watch it. All right. So then.
And they'd be embarrassed to say.
The third way is through the skin. Yep. Route. And so the fact is that if you're eliminating toxins through the skin, then something's wrong with your digestion, because that's the main way it's supposed to go out of the system. The only time you're supposed to throw up is when something should be so toxic the body doesn't, says, hey, we really don't even want this to go through the system, right?
It's
that's
like
really the only time.
My experience the other day.
Absolutely. Should we go there?
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to hit it really quick. So I gave into some cravings. We typically don't have garbage in the house because, well, number one, we make really decent choices most of the time, and number two, if it's there, I want it and I'll eat it. So but I don't even know why. Nevaeh had bought it for something when she was here, and I don't even remember what it was, but it was, I'm embarrassed to say. Do I say what it was?
Yeah.
It was Fruity Pebbles. And I hadn't had Fruity Pebbles like in forever. Like when I was young, bless my mom and dad, they would buy me Fruity Pebbles, but I hadn't had it in so long, and I was like, I'm having me some Fruity Pebbles. And so I did, and I also had, and this one was my bad, candy corn. It's a weakness, but I ate them both, and within an hour or two, I was supposed to work out at 5:30. My crew was there, my awesome crew was there, my coach was there, and I got so sick. So right after I had it, I was really, really tired, and I just laid down. I had to rest. But then about an hour or two after, I got the most massive migraine I had ever had, probably in my life. And it was terrible. It was one of those migraines that was like, turn off the lights and give me a bowl because it's coming up.
And, if you think about it, there's 2 things like that I think it's important for us to hit on. The first is that the Fruity Pebbles and the candy corn
It wasn't even just Fruity Pebbles. It was Fruity Pebbles with marshmallows.
Oh, wow. And so I didn't know they make such a thing. So anyways.
We didn't know either. I think that was the thing. I think that's where she got it.
Okay.
I don't know.
So basically what the deal is that they have all the chemicals, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but the dyes and stuff that really only left in the world in America. And
it's the dyes that
got you. And so they're, like you were saying, they were so reactive to the body that, your body just shut down.
It just shut down.
And because, it looked at it as a toxin, and it's like, look, we want to live, so we're going to do everything we can to fight this toxin so everything else shuts down, right? Got real tired, sick now, like, how do we get rid of them? We'll feel like throwing up. All that happened. So the first thing is that's an extremely serious toxin that these dyes are.
And like you had talked about, your body is a natural cleanser. Immediately, what did my body want to do?
Yeah,
cleanse it out. Right? I wanted it out.
And then the second factor with that is, why in the world could someone else, right, have the Fruity Pebbles and not have an issue? And you're like, well, wait a second, you live such a healthy life. I get this a lot, by the way. You live such a healthy life and all that, then, and you can't even have Fruity Pebbles, or you can't even do this, or you get sick, and like, we don't get sick. Exactly. So I always refer back to smoking. The first time you ever smoke a cigarette, take a puff, you're going to get sick, right? Cough, blah, 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 turn green. I remember in Boy Scouts growing up, they'd have this instructor come, and they actually had the kids take a puff of a cigarette.
No.
I swear. And because you get sick, right? And they'd talk about how bad it is. But why is that when you first do that, but then later on you can smoke, right, hundreds of cigarettes a day and not have an issue? Because you're overriding the body's system and saying, like, this is natural. And the body's like, well, how do we figure this out now that this is normal? How do we figure out how to live with this? And so basically it quits trying immediately to get rid of it, because it's like, well, it happens so much. We don't want to be sick all the time. And so in all reality, if you eat Fruity Pebbles or any of these things, right, then, and you don't get a reaction like Hilary got, that tells you that you are taking in toxins too often and your body's adapted to it, and you really need to fix the problem. And so it was actually a good thing that happened.
No, I'm one of those people that I'm hard-headed, I think maybe a little bit. And so I have to be reminded over and over again of certain things. And that one was like that was a big one. That one hit me like a bus. And so I will be vigilant, especially
since we're in
the young
show
ones
prep.
that I'm around too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.